We crave control. It's in our nature. We build systems, erect institutions, and write laws, all in the pursuit of order and predictability. But what happens when these very structures, designed to empower us, begin to stifle our freedoms? What happens when the institutions meant to protect our health become the very entities that threaten it? This is the critical juncture we face today. Centralized power, whether in finance or medicine, casts a long shadow over our individual liberties. It dictates the terms of our financial lives, influences the decisions we make about our bodies, and shapes the political landscape we navigate. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's the reality of our times. This essay will explore the intertwined realms of Bitcoin, decentralized medicine, and political dynamics. We'll embark on a journey that exposes the insidious ways centralized institutions impact our freedoms and our health. We will delve into the groundbreaking work of individuals like Jack Kruse, a leading voice in decentralized medicine. We'll traverse geographical boundaries, from the heart of El Salvador, where a nation embraces Bitcoin and drafts groundbreaking medical freedom laws, to the halls of power in the United States, where the battle for bodily autonomy rages on. Our exploration will not shy away from uncomfortable truths. We will dissect the history of centralization in medicine, expose the financial manipulations that keep us tethered to a broken system, and examine the political forces that maintain the status quo. This is not just an academic exercise, it's a call to action. By understanding the forces at play, we can equip ourselves with the knowledge and tools to reclaim our freedoms and build a future where individual sovereignty reigns supreme. The financial world is buzzing. A new wave of excitement and perhaps anxiety surrounds the recent surge in interest for a spot Bitcoin ETF. For many outside the crypto sphere, this might seem like arcane financial jargon. But the implications are far-reaching, especially when we consider the potential for both liberation and manipulation that Bitcoin presents. On the surface, a Bitcoin ETF appears to offer a bridge. It's a way for traditional investors, hesitant to delve into the complexities of private keys and digital wallets, to gain exposure to Bitcoin's price movements. This, proponents argue, will open the floodgates, pouring more capital into Bitcoin and driving its price upward. But beneath this veneer of accessibility lurks a potential threat. The very institutions clamoring for a Bitcoin ETF, Wall Street giants, investment firms, are the entities that have long profited from the centralized financial system that Bitcoin seeks to disrupt. Their foray into the Bitcoin space raises red flags. Are they seeking to embrace Bitcoin or to co-opt it? The potential for manipulation becomes even more apparent when we consider the concept of rehypothecation. This financial maneuver, as arcane as it sounds, could have dire consequences for individual Bitcoin holders. In essence, rehypothecation allows financial institutions to lend out assets multiple times beyond their actual holdings. Imagine this. You deposit your Bitcoin into an exchange that offers ETF services. Unbeknownst to you, this institution, enticed by the allure of quick profits, lends out your Bitcoin to another party who then lends it out again, and so on. Suddenly your Bitcoin, which you believed was safely stored, is being traded on a highly leveraged, opaque market. This creates a house of cards. If even a small percentage of actual Bitcoin holders decide to withdraw their assets, the system could crumble. This potential for a Bitcoin squeeze exposes the fragility of a financial system built on leverage and obscured ownership. Furthermore, it underscores the importance of self-custody, of holding your Bitcoin securely in your own digital wallet, away from the clutches of potentially reckless institutions. The issues we see with Bitcoin ETFs and rehypothecation are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a broader malaise, a systemic issue within our centralized financial systems. The bond market, often touted as a stable and predictable investment, is showing cracks. Governments, drowning in debt, issue more bonds, creating a vicious cycle of borrowing and spending. This reliance on debt-fueled growth creates a system vulnerable to manipulation. Central banks, with their ability to print money and influence interest rates, hold immense power. This power, often wielded behind closed doors and with little transparency, can be used to prop up failing markets, inflate asset bubbles, and ultimately erode the purchasing power of ordinary citizens. And what does this have to do with Bitcoin? Everything. Bitcoin, by its very design, stands in stark contrast to this centralized, debt-based system. It is decentralized, with no central authority controlling its issuance or distribution. It is scarce, with a fixed supply capped at 21 million coins, and it is transparent, with every transaction recorded on a public and immutable ledger. Dr. Jack Kruse, a man driven by an unwavering belief in the power of individual autonomy, embarked on a journey to El Salvador. This wasn't just a vacation, but a pilgrimage to the heart of a nation embracing a bold vision for the future. El Salvador, under the leadership of President Nayib Bukele, had become a beacon of hope for proponents of decentralization, particularly in the realms of finance and medicine. Kruse's interest in El Salvador was no accident. He saw in President Bukele a kindred spirit, a leader unafraid to challenge the status quo and embrace innovative solutions. Bukele's embrace of Bitcoin as legal tender had sent shockwaves through the global financial system, signaling a willingness to break free from the shackles of centralized control. But Kruse's mission extended beyond Bitcoin. He carried with him a vision for a future where individuals had the right to make their own choices about their health, free from the dictates of centralized medical systems. He envisioned a world where medical knowledge was decentralized, where individuals had access to a plethora of treatment options, and where the doctor-patient relationship was paramount. Kruse's journey culminated in a pivotal meeting. He found himself face-to-face with key figures in President Bukele's administration, individuals entrusted with shaping the future of El Salvador. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as Kruse, with his characteristic passion and conviction, laid out his vision for decentralized medicine. He spoke of a system where individuals, not governments or corporations, controlled their health data. He emphasized the importance of empowering patients with knowledge, allowing them to make informed decisions about their bodies and their well-being. He argued that true healthcare reform could only be achieved through decentralization, breaking the stranglehold of bureaucratic institutions and empowering individuals to take control of their own health destinies. The response to Kruse's delight was overwhelmingly positive. The officials, inspired by Bukele's bold leadership and open to innovative ideas, saw the potential in Kruse's vision. They recognized that true progress in healthcare and beyond required a shift in power dynamics, a move away from centralized control and towards individual empowerment. Section 3, Echoes of History, Benjamin Rush and the Spirit of Medical Freedom. Kruse's vision for decentralized medicine, while seemingly radical to some, is deeply rooted in historical precedent. He often draws parallels to Benjamin Rush, a founding father of the United States and a vocal advocate for medical freedom. Rush, a physician himself, recognized the dangers of centralized medical authority and fought tirelessly to enshrine the principles of medical choice in the very fabric of the newly formed nation. Rush's belief in medical freedom stemmed from his conviction that individuals had an inherent right to make decisions about their own bodies, free from government coercion. He argued that medical decisions should be made between a patient and their doctor without interference from outside forces. This fundamental principle, enshrined in the US Constitution, laid the groundwork for the concept of informed consent, a cornerstone of modern medical ethics. In El Salvador, Kruse saw an opportunity to breathe new life into Rush's vision. He recognized that the fight for medical freedom, a fight waged centuries ago in the nascent United States, was just as relevant in the 21st century, particularly in a world grappling with the rise of big pharma and the increasing influence of centralized medical institutions. Section 4. The Medical Freedom Law, a blueprint for sovereignty. Inspired by Cruz's vision and guided by the principles espoused by Benjamin Rush, El Salvador embarked on a groundbreaking endeavor. The nation set out to draft a medical freedom law, a piece of legislation aimed at enshrining the right to medical choice within its constitution. This law, if enacted, would represent a paradigm shift in the relationship between individuals and the healthcare system. The Medical Freedom Law sought to guarantee several key rights. It would protect the right of individuals to choose their own healthcare providers and treatments, free from government interference. It would ensure access to a wide range of medical information and treatment options, empowering individuals to make informed decisions about their health. And it would promote transparency and accountability within the healthcare system, ensuring that individuals had access to accurate and unbiased information. The drafting of this law marked a pivotal moment in the fight for medical freedom, not just in El Salvador, but globally. It represented a bold challenge to the status quo, a beacon of hope for those who believe that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege, and that individuals, not governments or corporations, should have the ultimate say in their own health and well-being. Section 1. Seeds of Centralization, the Nixonian Era. To understand the deeply rooted grip of centralized medicine in the United States, we must journey back to the 1970s. The Nixon administration, while remembered for its political scandals, also sowed the seeds of a healthcare system that prioritized profit over patients. It was during this era that the tentacles of government bureaucracy began to intertwine with the practice of medicine, setting the stage for the behemoth we grapple with today. One pivotal moment arrived with the passage of the HMO Act of 1973. This legislation, championed by Nixon as a means to control healthcare costs, inadvertently paved the path toward managed care. Health maintenance organizations, or HMOs, initially envisioned as cost-effective alternatives to traditional insurance, gradually morphed into gatekeepers, dictating which treatments patients could access and which doctors they could see. This shift, subtle yet significant, marked a turning point. The doctor-patient relationship, once sacrosanct, became increasingly mediated by insurance companies and government regulations. The focus on cost containment, while presented as a pragmatic necessity, often came at the expense of individualized care and patient autonomy. Section 2, the Reagan Revolution. Healthcare tilts toward corporatization. The trend towards centralized healthcare accelerated under the Reagan administration. The rise of neoliberalism, with its emphasis on free markets and deregulation, had a profound impact on the healthcare industry. Private insurance companies gained increasing influence, while hospitals and healthcare providers consolidated into larger, more corporate entities. Reagan's embrace of market-based solutions extended to healthcare. His administration implemented policies that encouraged competition among healthcare providers, with the belief that this would drive down costs and improve efficiency. While competition can be a powerful force for innovation, in the context of healthcare, it often incentivized providers to prioritize profits over patient well-being. This era also witnessed the rise of pharmaceutical giants, their influence bolstered by deregulation and favorable patent laws. Big Pharma, with its vast resources and lobbying power, began to exert significant control over medical research, drug development, and even the information disseminated to doctors and patients. The stage was set for a healthcare system where corporate interests often overshadowed the needs of individual patients. Section 3. The Fauci effect: institutional power takes the reins. The trajectory towards centralized medical authority reached new heights during the tenure of Dr. Anthony Fauci. As the long-serving director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, or NIAID, Fauci's influence over public health policy, particularly in the realm of infectious diseases, became unparalleled. While his intentions may have been noble, His approach often epitomized the pitfalls of centralized medical decision-making. Fauci's rise to prominence coincided with the emergence of new and deadly infectious diseases, from HIV/AIDS to COVID-19. These crises, while posing real threats, also served to consolidate power within institutions like the NIAID and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. The public, understandably fearful and seeking guidance, often looked to these institutions as bastions of authority. However, this reliance on centralized expertise came at a cost. Dissenting voices within the scientific community, often advocating for alternative treatment approaches or questioning the efficacy of certain public health measures, were often silenced or marginalized. The narrative around these health crises became increasingly monolithic, leaving little room for open debate or consideration of alternative perspectives. Section 4. A legacy of control, the price of centralization. The cumulative effect of these historical trends is a healthcare system in the United States that is heavily centralized, bureaucratic, and often unresponsive to the needs of individual patients. The doctor-patient relationship, once the cornerstone of medical practice, has been eroded by the intrusion of insurance companies, government regulations, and powerful pharmaceutical interests. This centralized system has come at a steep price. Healthcare costs in the United States are the highest in the world, yet millions of Americans lack access to basic medical care. The focus on profit over patients has led to a system where expensive treatments and pharmaceuticals are often prioritized over preventative care and holistic approaches to health and well-being. Moreover, the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility of a centralized healthcare system. Hospitals, overwhelmed by the surge in patients, struggle to cope. Supply chains, reliant on centralized production and distribution networks, faltered, and the suppression of alternative viewpoints and treatment approaches, often dismissed as misinformation, hindered the search for effective solutions. Section 1. A global battleground, decentralization versus Big Pharma. The fight for medical freedom transcends national borders. It's a global battle against entrenched interests, particularly the pharmaceutical industry. Big Pharma, with its vast wealth and influence, wields considerable power over governments, regulatory agencies, and even medical research. This power has been used to stifle competition, limit access to alternative treatments, and shape public perception of health and disease. The decentralized medicine movement challenges this dominance. It seeks to empower individuals with information, giving them greater control over their healthcare choices. It promotes transparency in medical research and drug pricing, breaking the stranglehold of Big Pharma's opaque practices, and it fosters innovation by creating a level playing field for alternative therapies and treatment modalities. The United States, ironically, presents one of the biggest hurdles to widespread adoption of decentralized medical practices. Big Pharma's lobbying efforts have resulted in a regulatory environment that favors conventional treatments and often hinders the development and availability of alternative options. The FDA approval process, while designed to ensure safety and efficacy, can be prohibitively expensive and time-consuming, effectively shutting out smaller companies and independent researchers. However, the tide may be turning. As more individuals become disillusioned with the current healthcare system, they are seeking alternative solutions. The rise of telemedicine, direct primary care, and patient-driven research networks are all signs of a growing desire for greater control and autonomy in healthcare. Section 2. El Salvador, a beacon of hope, a model for the future. Amidst this global struggle, El Salvador stands out as a beacon of hope. The nation's commitment to decentralized principles, as evidenced by its embrace of Bitcoin and its pursuit of a medical freedom law, offers a model for other nations seeking to break free from the grip of centralized control. El Salvador's medical freedom law, if enacted, would represent a paradigm shift in healthcare. By enshrining the right to medical choice in its constitution, El Salvador would be sending a powerful message to the world. that individuals have the inherent right to make decisions about their own bodies and their own health. But El Salvador's vision extends beyond a single law. The nation is actively building a future where individual freedom and autonomy are paramount. This includes plans to expand internet access, ensuring that all citizens have the tools and information they need to make informed decisions about their health and their lives. El Salvador's journey will not be without its challenges. Powerful forces, both within and outside the country, will likely resist these changes. Big Pharma, accustomed to operating with impunity, will not relinquish its grip on the healthcare system without a fight. And governments, often beholden to corporate interests, may be reluctant to cede control over such a vital aspect of their citizens' lives. Section 1. Reclaiming our birthright, a call to action. We stand at a crossroads. The forces of centralization, deeply entrenched in our financial systems, our healthcare institutions, and our political structures, are tightening their grip. But as we've seen, a counter-movement is building. It's a movement powered by the transformative potential of technology, fueled by the indomitable spirit of individual liberty, and guided by the vision of a future where power resides not in the hands of the few, but in the hands of the many. The journey will not be easy. We must be prepared to challenge long-held assumptions, to question the pronouncements of authority figures, and to demand greater transparency and accountability from the institutions that govern our lives. We must be willing to educate ourselves, to engage in open and honest dialogue, and to support those who are courageously forging a new path. This is not simply about Bitcoin, nor is it solely about decentralized medicine. It's about reclaiming our birthright as free and sovereign individuals. It's about creating a world where we have the power to make our own choices about our finances, our health and our lives, free from the dictates of centralized control. The time for complacency is over. The future of freedom is in our hands. Let us seize it.